Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Feustel here. Super excited to work with you today in reading on finding the theme in a story. So before we begin, I want you to listen to the story called The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig. And hopefully this works. We're going to show it on the screen.
Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then, the best friends of the best players. Then, the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. "We've got enough players for each team," he tells the others. "Let's play ball." In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. "The rope swing over the pool was awesome," says JT. "Yeah, so was the water slide," adds Fiona. "That was the best pool party ever." "I'm so glad you guys had fun," said Madison. Everybody had fun. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table, doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, and space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. "What's that?" asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. And all the kids laugh. All of them. That is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. "Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian." At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. "You're Brian, right?" "Yeah." "Thanks for the note." "Hey, Justin," Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. "You're up next." "Sorry, I gotta go," says Justin. "By the way, that's a really cool drawing," he adds, before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. "I'm already with Justin," says Emilio. "Find someone else." Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. "Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We are only 2. Come on, Emilio. Let him work with us." "Okay, I guess." Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. "Whoa, cool," says Emilio. "What kind of people do you think live in houses like that?" "I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story," says Justin. Brian takes out his lucky pen. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. "Brian!" he hears someone shout. "Hey, Brian, over here!" Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all.
Hi again, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed listening to that story. And what we're going to do next is try to figure out the theme. So the target today will be to understand the definition of theme, and I would like you to learn how to determine a theme in a text. So if you're working at home, your job is to gather a couple of Post-it notes or notebook paper and a pencil. All right, what is theme? Theme is the main message. It's what the author wants you to learn or know. It's a broad idea about life, and it's usually not stated. It must be inferred. And that's probably why I like it so much. It's totally what you get out of it and what you take from the story. So that's why there's so many right answers. There's not really a wrong answer to finding the theme. One thing that I want you to remember is that theme is not one word, like love, friends, family. Those are all topics. Theme is a statement about these topics. So, for example, if we look at this graphic, theme, topics, and statements, perseverance is the topic. And then a possible statement about perseverance might be believe in yourself no matter what others think. One person can make a difference, or hard work pays off. Those are statements. So possible theme topics that I found in this story, The Invisible Boy, could be about kindness, it could be about acceptance, it could be about love, loneliness, including others, friendship. Those are all possible lessons or topics for a lesson that I may have learned. So I took kindness, or I decided to focus on that, and I tried to find examples of kindness in the story. And one of the first examples that I found was when Brian wrote a note to Justin saying that his lunch looked good. You know, it's just a little thing like a note, but it made a big difference, I could tell. Justin was impressed by that. He had a smile on his face. The other one was when Justin tells Brian that his drawing was cool. In that story, or that part of the story, I could even tell, because in the beginning, Brian doesn't have any color to him. I think the illustrator does a really cool job. And then once Justin tells Brian that his drawing is cool, in the illustration, I saw that there was a little color put into Brian's character. So I put that as an act of kindness. So when he told him that his drawing was cool. And then Justin, another act of kindness was when Justin explains to Emilio how Brian can be in their group also. It doesn't have to be just two. The teacher said they could have three, so why not include Brian? And the last one I would include would be the example when Brian is walking into the lunchroom, and of course this is not Brian's favorite time of the day, and he's often not included, but that time Justin says, "Hey Brian, come and join our group," and Emilio moves over and makes room for Brian to join them. So those are examples that I found that kind of supported the topic of kindness. And so then I thought about it a little bit more, and you know, these aren't really big acts of kindness. They're small, but they seem to make a big difference. And it wasn't just for Brian, but I think it made a difference for Justin as well. And in the end, Brian doesn't feel invisible anymore, and Justin made a new friend. So my theme statement for this book, and for me, a lesson that I learned, is small acts of kindness can change your life. So that's my theme statement for the invisible boy. Now, can there be more than one theme statement? Absolutely. And what I got out of it might be different than what somebody else may have gotten out of it. So here's your assignment for today. You're going to think about possible theme topics in the book you are reading. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're starting a new chapter book, it might be a little difficult to come up with a statement, but you can certainly start thinking about the topics. And choose one of those topic ideas and then find examples that support your topic. So just like I did with my Post-it notes today, I want you to find examples of parts in the story that support your topic. Now, here's a challenge opportunity for some of you. If you are further along in your book, you could certainly take those notes and then look at those examples and try to come up with a possible theme statement. All right? So today's lesson, class, I hope that you are familiar with what is a theme. It's the life lesson or the moral of the story. And in order to do or to find that, you have to think of the topics that are embedded within the story and then find examples that support that topic, and then choose or think of a statement, a theme statement that explains the lesson that you learned in your story. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you listening and participating, and enjoy your reading. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.